Um, Good day, everyone. Kumusta kayo? Well, it's good morning for those of you who are watching live. It's maybe good afternoon or good evening to those of you who would be watching replays. But today is another day, and I sure hope that you guys are progressing towards your review. And it's almost mid of the month, and I would just like to continue to encourage each one of you guys to press on. Um, I'm pretty sure you guys are doing your best. And hey, Matt, good evening to me, and good morning to you guys. Um, yeah, so for those of you who have given out your accomplishment report, I am continually cheering you on. I know there are a lot of, I know there are a lot of like setbacks. I mean, nababasa ko naman dun sa mga sinulat niyo dun, no? Like, you have to do this for your family, you have to run errands, you have to um, do stuff for completion in school. But you know what? It's all good. Everything happens for a reason, and there's always a perfect time for everything. And but the best part of it, though, is though you're not sure yet whether you're going to be taking the boards this December or like sometime in the future, the best thing about it is you're actually starting to review now, and this is to your advantage. Okay, so hi Jamela. So just think about it that way. Whatever decision that you make today is going to affect your future. It could be your future tomorrow, your future several days from now, your future several months from now. But it all starts with making decisions. And by you watching this and you listening to this and studying and reviewing, I'm pretty sure you're on the right track to um, crushing your dental boards soon. Okay, so we'll start. Um, so we're done basically with cranial nerves, head and neck, arteries and veins. So now I'll be mentioning like several muscles like in the head and neck area. Uh, I have listed down like origins and insertions and functions, and for some of them I did place some uh, innervations. Okay, but my advice is for you guys to develop your own way as to how to remember things. I would be giving you like overviews, general facts that you have to know regarding muscular insertion and origins. So when you study and review on your own, it would be easier for you. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so topic for today would be the muscles of the head and neck. Alrighty. Okay. All right. So general facts on muscles. So this is some stuff that I want you guys to know because this will be really helpful when you're studying muscles in general. This is not just for the head and neck part, but for like for the whole body. Okay. First is action is always towards the point of origin. Okay. So in case hindi nyo pa napansin yun, whenever you would review origins and insertions, you have to take note of this. The action of a muscle is always towards the point of origin. Ano ibig sabihin nun? You know how you study muscles? Di ba may origin, may insertion. And then action. Di ba? Origin, insertion, action. Pansinin ninyo na yung action na sinusulat ninyo dun sa column ng action na yun, usually yung ginagawa ng action na yun is a movement that is geared towards the point of origin. So meaning, gagalaw yung muscle kung nasan siyang location papunta sa origin. So, anong magandang example niyan? Randomly, let's say yung temporalis muscle. Okay. So what's your temporalis muscle? Your temporalis muscle is a fan-shaped muscle, right? Close to your temporal bone. So nandito siya. It's a fan-shaped muscle. It's right here. Asan ang origin ng temporal muscle? Ang origin ng temporal muscle would be somewhere here. Okay, along this line. Saan ang insertion niya? Ang insertion ng temporal muscle ay nasa mandible. It's actually on the coronoid process of your mandible. So, if ang origin niya ay nandito sa may temporal fossa, and ang insertion niya ay somewhere in your, not the condylar head, but on your coronoid process, and sinabi natin dyan, action is always towards the point of origin. So what would happen? If a fan-shaped muscle that's located here close to your temporal fossa would be contracting, at sabi natin na contraction or the action is always towards the point of origin, so what should you expect? Pag nag-contract yung temporal muscles, yung temporalis muscles, so origin, insertion. So pag nag-contract, di ba? What would it do? It would lift your jaw. Kung right side yung nag-contract, ililift niya yung jaw pataas on the right side. Okay? Kasi the elevation part is always towards the point of origin. So, pansinin niyo yan sa lahat ng mga muscles na aaralin natin. Okay? And then, this is general facts on muscles. Movement is powered by the nerves. Right? Lagi yun. If the nerves are severed, if the nerves are malfunctioning, if the nerves are cut off, then there's no way for the muscles to move. Muscles on their own, they cannot move. So they're always powered by nerves. So there has to be stimulus. There has to be sending of signals, okay, for muscles to move. Next, bilateral muscles can contract unilaterally or at the same time. So that's also a fact. What does that mean? Muscles that you can find bilateral, meaning on both sides of the body, left and right side, they can contract unilaterally, meaning one at a time, or they can contract at the same time. And when you have unilateral contraction, it has a certain action. When you have bilateral contraction, it can give you a different action. Okay, so we'll find out about that later. Like, yung example na binigay ko, temporalis muscle. It's a fan-shaped muscle. It's located on both sides. Okay, so both sides may temporalis muscle. So if you have temporalis muscles on both sides, contraction of one side would produce a different action than contraction of both muscles. Okay, so we'll find out more about that as we go on. Okay, so a lot of people are catching up. So hi, Kathy, Jessica, hello. I still haven't thought of what to give or what, like yung price mo. So darating din tayo dyan. Pag naisip ko na. Okay, so that's some general facts on muscles. Okay, so we'll start with muscles of facial expression. I divided it into two. So you have muscles of the eyes and brows. So it's like somewhere here. And then you have your perioral muscles. Okay. I know it looks a lot. It is a lot. But, what can you do? You just have to live with it, I guess. Okay, question. Am I clear on your end? Kasi parang napatingin ako dito sa live feed sa Facebook and mukhang pixelated yung screen. Is it? Am I? Clear ba? Okay lang. Okay. Cool. All right. Moving on. So facial expression, eyes and brows, and then mouth. Okay. So eyes, brows, and I included the nose as well. So um, here's just a list. Okay. I'm pretty sure you have your own list, but I didn't include everything, like just some stuff that has to be included. Okay. So to start off, muscles surrounding your eyes, your eyebrows, your nose. Okay, so we have your occipitofrontalis. Okay. One more thing pala regarding muscles. Usually, the name would give you the point of origin and insertion. You'll find more of that, especially as we move towards muscles, perioral muscles, and even muscles of mastication. Yung pangalan ng muscle would give you a clue kung ano ang point of origin and insertion. Okay, an example like this one, occipitofrontalis muscle. So occipitofrontalis based on the 2 points of origin for this muscle. So you have a frontal belly. Ang point of origin, yun yung frontalis. So ang point of origin niya would be the skin of the eyebrows, the muscles of the forehead. Okay? And then you have your occipital belly, which comprises the occipitalis part. The point of origin would be the lateral 2/3 of the superior nuchal line. So it's somewhere here. Superior nuchal line. Okay? And then the frontal belly would be coming from the skin of your eyebrows. Well, hindi nakikita yun dyan. Okay? So, ang insertion nila ay epicranial aponeurosis. Anong function nun? It raises the eyebrows and wrinkles the forehead. So, ang sinabi natin kanina, ang action or function would usually towards the point of origin. Diba? So, occipitofrontalis, skin of the eyebrows, muscles, forehead, and then occipitalis, lateral 2/3 of superior nuchal line, raises eyebrows. So, kung imagine nyo kung nandito yung eyebrows nitong tao, di ba? So, once the muscle would contract, it raises it. So, once the muscle contracts, it raises. It raises the muscle. So, it lifts your eyebrows. So, syempre, pag tinaas mo yung eyebrows mo, automatic magre-wrinkle yung forehead mo. So, yun. Alright? So, that's your occipitofrontalis. And then, you have your orbicularis oculi. Origin would be nasal part of your frontal bone, frontal process of your maxilla. So, basically, nandito siya lahat. Medial palpebral ligament, lacrimal bone. And then, insertion niya, skin of orbital region, lateral palpebral raphe, superior inferior tarsal plates, blah. Anong function niya? It closes your eyelid. Asan ang eyelid? Well, ito. Diba? So, once it contracts towards the point of origin, so what do you expect? Sasara yung mata. Diba? And that's your orbicularis oculi. And then you have your corrugator muscle. Origin niya, supraorbital ridge. Insertion niya, forehead skin near your eyebrows. Supraorbital. Supra meaning above. Orbital, the eye. So, supraorbital ridge. Insertion niya would be forehead skin near the eyebrows. So, origin, insertion. Ano mangyayari? Kapag na-activate yung muscle, it depresses your eyebrows. Diba? It depresses your eyebrows. So, kumukulot ang iyong noo. Right here. Then you have your procerus, nasal bone, skin of glabella. So, somewhere here. Ang insertion, origin, what do you expect? Kapag ka nag-contract yung muscle towards the point of origin, so, you wrinkle your skin. in this area. Right? Imagine nyo, nag-contract yung muscle. Point of insertion, point of origin. Sabi natin, ang action lagi towards the point of origin. Okay? So once it contracts, it depresses the medial ends of your eyebrows. It wrinkles the skin on this side. Okay. And then you have your nasalis, frontal process of maxilla. It's somewhere here. Nasalis. So frontal process of the maxilla and then towards the skin of your ala. So ala of the nose, itong gilid na rounded portion. So what would it do? Sabi dyan, it depresses your ala laterally. So ang action ay pa-dilate. Okay? So those are just some of the muscles that would be on your eyes, eye area, brow area, and your nose. Okay? So moving forward to the mouth area. Okay? So you have your several muscles. You have your orbicularis oris. You know that. That's like your lip muscle. You have your levator labii superioris. It's right here. You have your risorius right here on the side. You have your zygomaticus major, zygomaticus minor. You have your depressor labii inferioris right here. Depressor anguli oris, mentalis, buccinator. Okay. Well, orbicularis oris, you all know that's your lip muscle. So what does it do? It helps us close and protrude your upper and lower lips. We can whistle because of our orbicularis oris right here. Let's see that right there. Ta-da. That's your orbicularis oris. Okay, so origin niya would be medial aspects of maxilla and mandible. Perioral skin, modulus. Perioral skin. Insertion niya, skin and mucous membrane of the lips. Okay, so you know, like when you whistle, when you pout your lips, it's the work of your orbicularis oris. And then you have your levator labii superioris. So zygomatic process of the maxilla, and then it blends with the muscles of the upper lip. Zygomatic process of the maxilla is somewhere here. Remember, the zygomatic process is your cheekbone. Okay. So if it's somewhere high up here, that's the point of origin, and the insertion is the muscles of your upper lip right here. So what would it do? Of course, you would expect it to pull the lip up. Again, towards the point of origin. That's your levator labii superioris. And your risorius is right here. Ang point of origin niya would be parotid and masseteric area. So meaning, all the way back. So may parotid area and the masseter area. Okay? So we know that masseter is found on the angle of the mandible. And then the parotid is found right before the external ear. Diba? Nandun ang area ng parotid gland. And then the point of insertion would be the angle of the... Where's my pointer? Point of insertion would be the angle of the mouth. So once the action is done, again, towards the point of origin. So kung yung origin niya is somewhere here, so what would you expect it to do? It pulls the lip that way. Same goes with the other side. It should pull the lip that way. So what do you expect? A person would smile. Okay? Now, when it comes to zygomaticus major and zygomaticus minor, based on the name itself, no? Zygomaticus major and minor, so where do you expect its point of origin to be at? So it's at the zygomatic bone. Kaya nga, zygomaticus, zygomatic bone. So somewhere here, zygomatic bone, insertion niya ay modulus. So same, it lifts the corner of your mouth. See? Papunta naman siya doon. Hila. Ito rin. The muscle layers are going that way. So, yes, it would lift the corners of the mouth. Okay. Now, onto the depressor side. So depressor, based on the name itself, it depresses. So you don't expect it to, pull the lip up, but instead you expect it to pull the lip down. So you have your depressor labii inferioris right here. So origin would be oblique line of the mandible. And insertion would be skin and submucosa of the lower lip right here, somewhere there. So function is always towards the point of origin. So it depresses the lower lip inferolaterally. Bakit naging inferolaterally? Because it's on the oblique line of the mandible. It's not straight down, but it is oblique. So it depresses the lower lip inferolaterally. Then another depressor would be your depressor anguli oris. Again, it's also on the oblique line of the mandible, your mandibular oblique line right here. Ang insertion niya ay modulus, yung junction sa corners of the lips. Okay? So what do you expect it to do? Again, towards the point of origin. So, anong magka-opposing muscles in this case? So, if a person smiles, the one responsible for it would be your risorius and your zygomaticus major and minor. But if a person would frown, okay, like when a person is sad, then it's the depressor. Okay? Depressed siya. Depressed siya, malungkot siya. So, ang responsible dun sa frowning na yon ay yung depressor anguli oris. Okay? And then, next we have your mentalis muscle. So we all know that the chin area is also known as the mental area. So mentalis muscle should be found somewhere on the chin. So point of origin would be the incisive fossa of the mandible and then skin of the chin right here. So what does it do? It protrudes your lower lip and it tightens your chin. Okay, that's your mentalis muscle right here. And then, of course, your buccinator muscle, the one that's responsible to, holding in the food inside the mouth, that's the cheek. The one responsible for aiding the teeth during mastication, so that's your buccinator. Origin would be maxillary and mandibular alveolar processes. Okay, so alveolar processes. So it's a big muscle. Okay, and then insertion would be angle of the mouth. Maxillary mandibular alveolar processes. Angle of the mouth. So what's the function? It compresses the cheek against the teeth and aids in chewing. So imagine niyo, itong muscle na to, nag-contract towards the point of origin. Iba origin niya? Maxillary mandibular alveolar process. So na-imagine yung compression. Kaya nga compresses the cheek eh. Kasi ang point of origin niya, taas sa kababa. So, imagine nyo, kapag yung cheek side, di ba? Some are inserted on the maxillary side and then the others are inserted on the mandibular side. So, once the buccinator would contract, pag nag-contract siya, mako-compress na agad yung mako-compress yung muscle against the maxillary and mandibular alveolar processes. Okay? All right. Well, as I said earlier, this is just a review and this is an overview. So we're going to go fast. And one thing about anatomy, it's like a love-hate relationship, Like with anatomy, good thing about it is kahit i-memorize mo lang siya, okay ka na. Kasi it's anatomy. There's no explanation. Vaccinator is vaccinator. Ano pa bang gusto mong i-explain doon? Wala. Nothing. So, I guess that's the loving part. What's the hate part of the relationship? You have to memorize it. So if you're a fan of memorizing, I guess it's a love situation for you. But if you're not that much of a fan of memorizing, well, you just have to love the fact or accept the fact that kailangan mag-memorize. At some point in time, yes, you do have to memorize. Okay? So, there you go. We move on to the tongue. All right. The tongue is a very, very powerful muscle in our body. And the Word of God says the tongue holds the power, to life and death. Imagine nyo ba yun? Such small muscle. Physically, it's a muscle. But then in reality, it holds the power to life and death. Diba? So how many of you have been encouraged by somebody just because they spoke something over you at na-encourage ka? Yeah? So that's the power of life in the tongue. But how many of you have also been depressed or, like felt bad because somebody spoke a negative thing towards you? That's the power of death, being released through the tongue. So with this, it's a small muscle, but yeah, it can do a lot of things. It can tear you apart. It can build you up. It can make you taste food. It can, do a lot of things. So let's proceed. The tongue, usually, alam niyo na to, diba? We divide the tongue into an anterior 2/3 portion, which is this, like an anterior 2/3 portion, and a posterior 1/3 portion. Usually the posterior 1/3 part would contain the base of the tongue already. So technically it's from the area of your circumvallate papilla towards the base of the tongue. That's the posterior 1/3. And then the anterior 2/3 would comprise the tip and the body. Okay, that's your anterior 2/3. Dito muna tayo sa picture since I'm already here. So anterior 2/3 of the tongue, just as a recall, general sensory, meaning general sensation of the tongue would be received by, all these general sensation would be processed by your cranial nerve 5, your trigeminal nerve, particularly your mandibular nerve. However, special sensory for the anterior 2/3 of the tongue is being mediated by your facial nerve. Remember chorda tympani? When we say special sensory, we're talking about taste sensation. Okay? So taste sensation, anterior 2/3 would be via your chorda tympani branch of the facial nerve. Okay? Now, on the posterior 1/3, lesser thing to memorize kasi both general sensation and taste sensation would be provided by your CN9. What's 9 again? 9G, glossopharyngeal. Okay? So posterior 1/3, general sensation, special sensation taste sensation would be regulated by your glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay? Now, on the backside, area around your epiglottis, so this is your epiglottis right here. So, there's still some taste sensation happening on this aspect. But now this is being mediated by your CN10. And CN10 would be what? Your vagus nerve. Okay? So general sensation and some taste functions around the area of your epiglottis would be handled by your cranial nerve 10. Okay. Now, if you would notice, I also wrote down here or added to the picture. I got the picture from First Aid. No, it's either First Aid or NBDA, one of them. So I added this second and third branchial arch and first branchial arch. I added it there just so, to refresh our minds that the anterior 2/3 of the tongue came from the first branchial arch. And then the posterior 1/3 of the tongue came from your second and third branchial arches. Diba? And then usually, when the second and third branchial arch would fail to fuse, sometimes you'd have a remnant. Somewhere here, you'd have a remnant. What do you call that remnant? If anybody can remember, what do you call a remnant? Sometimes it's like a big bulge of red tissue right there because of failure to fuse together. Tingnan nga natin kung may sumagot ng tanong ko. Okay, so take note of that. What happens? Anong pathology yun? Kapag ka nag-fail ng fusion ng sa may posterior 1/3 area ng tongue. Okay. Moving on. So first branchial arch, anterior 2/3, second and third branchial arches, posterior 1/3 of the tongue. Now, we all know that on the surface, on the dorsal surface of the tongue, so again, dorsal surface, itong nakikita nating part. Yung nasa ilalim, the one closer to the floor of the mouth would be your ventral side. Okay? So, dorsal surface of the tongue, we all know that the dorsal surface is parakeratinized. Okay? You have parakeratinized tissue that is mostly stratified squamous cells. Okay? That's the dorsal. And then it contains specialized mechanisms for taste. Okay? Specialized receptors. And we all know that on the dorsal side of the tongue, you have all your papilla. You have your filiform papilla, you have your fungiform papilla, you have your foliate, and you have your circumvallate papilla. So filiform, they're more abundant in this area. Okay? The fila. Okay? So filiform, sila yung filamentous. Okay? Because they're filamentous, they're keratinized, it's hairy, so there's no taste buds. Okay, there's no taste buds found on your filiform papilla. Okay. Now, the next type would be your fungiform. Based on the name itself, fungi. Diba? Ano bang pinaka-madaling example pinaka-common example ng fungus would be your mushrooms, diba? So, your fungiform papilla, they're round, they're mushroom shaped. And then you have your foliate. Okay, wala sa picture yung foliate, but your foliates are found on the lateral aspect. Okay, you have your foliates. They're vertical folds or vertical striations found on the sides of the tongue. And then the last type of papilla, which is the least amount of papilla, kasi bilang sila, according to the book, it's like there's 12 to 13 of them. And they're lined up here on the posterior aspect. It's like in a V. Yan, yung mga bilog-bilog na yan. Dahil bilog-bilog sila, tawag sa kanila circumvallate lingual because they're on the last, they're on the back portion. So circumvallate lingual papilla, there's usually 12 to 13 of them. What's special about them? Along your sulcus terminalis, along this V groove, along your circumvallate papilla, you also have your von Ebner's glands. What are your von Ebner's glands? Remember, they're a form of minor salivary gland that is purely serous. Sikat yan si von Ebner's. Okay? It's a purely serous minor salivary gland. And where can you find it? You can find them here along the circumvallate lingual papilla area. Okay? So again, dorsal side of the tongue, you see all these papilla, and it's basically composed of parakeratinized stratified squamous cells, okay, with specialized structures because of taste buds. Among all the 4 papilla, filiform papilla, they contain no taste buds, okay, zilch, nada, walang taste buds. Okay. All right. Now it says here on the ventral aspect, So, sabi natin, ang ventral aspect, when you say ventral, yun yung nasa ilalim. Okay? The one that's close to the floor of the mouth. On the ventral aspect, it is non-keratinized, stratified squamous mucosa. Okay? Non-keratinized. That's why if you look at the ventral aspect of the tongue, di ba, smoother siya. So it's non-stratified, non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Okay? And one thing to take note of, it is the most common cancer site. The ventral aspect of the tongue and also the lateral border of the tongue, those are the common sites for cancer. Any form of like a malignancy, you can easily detect. That is why when you go to oral diagnosis, an important part when we see our patients, it's not just to, like look at the teeth or count them, or, kasi usually, di ba, pagka sa oral di, nagpapasok tayo ng pasyente, anong tendency natin? When we bring our patients in school, because we're after points, we're after grades. So usually hindi na natin talaga tinitingnan yung tao as a whole. But in reality, when a patient would sit in your office for the initial exam, aside from taking all X-rays, we also check different areas, and one of them would be the tongue. Nakita ko yan like dito where I'm working. Yung dentist that I work for, she really does it. Like for a new patient exam, she would ask the patient to stick the tongue out and then grab hold of it with a 2x2 and then check. Like lift the tongue, pull, check the sides. And it's because of that. It's a common site for cancer. Anything that you don't want to see in your mouth, any malignancy, you'd find it there on the tongue area, tongue in the pharynx area. Okay? So that's the ventral side. So ventral and the lateral border, they're the most common sites for your cancer. And then I just wrote here a simple taste pathway. So what happens when we eat? So once food gets in the mouth, okay, and it comes in contact with your tongue, okay, the taste buds, which are actually modified epithelial cells, they would be triggered. So taste buds, they're your receptors. They're modified epithelial cells that would act as receptors. Okay? So once a stimulus comes in, they would act as receptors, and then it would now send signal. Okay? It would send signal where? It would send signal to the cortical gustatory area and your hypothalamus and your limbic system. And there, the taste would be interpreted. Okay? So that's about it regarding the tongue. So you have your taste buds that's connected to your neurons. So any form of stimulus would send signals down the neurons and then towards your cortical gustatory area, where everything would be interpreted. So now you'd be made aware as to ano yung tinitikman mong pagkain o nilalasahan mo. And we all know this, 5 different types of tastes. What are they? Your 5 tastes. So you have your sweet, sour, salty, and you have your umami. It is actually considered as, it is a legit taste, umami, okay? And the bitter taste, okay? So you have your sweet, sour, and salty. All right. So that's just like an overview of your tongue. Now we move to the muscles involving your tongue. So we all know that with the tongue, you have two sets of muscles. You have your intrinsic muscles and you have your extrinsic muscles. Intrinsic muscles, they're responsible for the shape of the tongue. Intrinsic, so it's within the tongue. Okay, you know that. I mean, this is just a review, so alam niyo na yun. It's within the tongue. Okay, intrinsic muscles. So you have three different types of muscles within the tongue. You have your longitudinal, your transverse, and your vertical. So these different orientations would give the tongue, our shape. Whenever you would want to whistle or just play around with your tongue, the intrinsic muscles would usually do the trick. Okay, and then you have your extrinsic muscles of the tongue. Now we know that for the extrinsic muscles of the tongue, they're the ones responsible for controlling tongue movements. Okay, protrusion, depression, curling of your tongue. The tongue muscles are the ones responsible for that. So these are the main tongue muscles. As you can see, ano ang common nila? They all have glossus on their names. So genioglossus. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. The name of a muscle would usually imply the point of origin and insertion. So when you see genioglossus, origin, genial tubercle, insertion, tongue. I didn't write insertion anymore because they're all the same. They all insert in the tongue. Okay? So genioglossus, genial tubercle, the tongue. Where do you see your genial tubercle? Your genial tubercle is right here. It's on the lingual. It's on the lingual aspect of the mandible, below your incisors, lower incisors. So see if you have a point of origin that's somewhere here, and then the insertion is onto the tongue. That's what you can see here. Diba? So what do you expect it to do? What do you expect the muscle to do as it contracts? Papunta doon, towards the point of origin. Diba? So it would depress and kind of protrude your tongue. Okay? And then the next one would be your styloglossus. Styloglossus. What's stylo? Stylo stands for what? The styloid process of the mandible, which is right there, the styloid process. See it? It's like a spike on your mandible. Styloglossus. Okay? So what does it do? Towards the point of origin. Towards the point of origin. Di palikod. So what should it do? It should retract your tongue. Or even make it curl on the side. Hyoglossus. Based on the name, hyo, pertaining to hyoid. And then glossus would be tongue. So hyoglossus, this is your hyoid bone right here. And that's your tongue. Action is always towards the point of origin. So if the origin is the hyoid, what do you expect it to do? Of course, you would expect it to depress your tongue. Okay? And then for the palatoglossus, you can see it in this picture. Palato, so your palatine aponeurosis or your palatal area. And then glossus would be your tongue. Okay? So your palatine aponeurosis. Insertion, tongue. And then what do you notice? With the tongue, the innervation would be cranial nerve 12. What does it do? Cranial nerve 12. That's your hypoglossal nerve. Diba? So your hypoglossal nerve would power both the intrinsic and extrinsic muscles of the tongue. Alright? That's the tongue right there. Next, we move on to neck muscles. I'm reserving the other stuff. I'm reserving muscles of mastication, suprahyoid muscles to like towards the latter part. Okay? Para sabay-sabay yung discussion on movements and physiology of it. All right. So next we move on to your neck muscles. So with the neck muscles, we have three main ones. You have your platysma, your sternocleidomastoid, and your trapezius. So this is a platysma. It's a thin layer of muscle. Okay. The origin would be fascia of the deltoids and pectoralis. So you expect it somewhere to be here, like on your shoulder area. Insertion would be on the mandible. So the innervation would be CN7 would be your facial nerve. So the action of it would be to depress the mandible and angle of the mouth. Imagine, this is the point of origin, like somewhere here. So action is towards the point of origin. So it should what? Depress your mandible. It should depress your mandible and angle of the mouth. Right here, angle of the mouth. Okay? And then it tenses the skin of your lower face and your anterior neck. Okay? So that's your platysma right there. Now your sternocleidomastoid, the reason why it's called sternocleidomastoid, it's because of origin and insertion. You have your sternocleidomastoid. Origin would be the sternum and the clavicle area, and then the point of insertion would be the mastoid process of your temporal bone. Where's the mastoid process of your temporal bone? It's somewhere right there. Okay? So that's the point of insertion. And then your origin would be somewhere here, clavicle sternum area. So what do you expect it to do? Again, towards the point of origin. So imagine if one side of your sternocleidomastoid would contract, then what would it do? It would bend your neck on that side and cause your face to turn towards the opposite side. That is contraction of one muscle. Okay. Remember, general facts, if you have bilateral muscles, they can contract unilaterally or bilaterally. So, if the sternocleidomastoid would contract unilaterally, meaning just one side, like in my case now, it's like the left side. If it contracts like this, it forces my neck to be on this left side, but my face would turn towards the opposite way. The contraction of this neck muscle on the left side would turn my face to the right. Okay? That's your sternocleidomastoid. However, bilateral contraction, so left and right contraction of your sternocleidomastoid would actually what? Flex your neck or bend your neck forward. Bend your neck back. Yeah, that feels so good. Okay? So if it's just unilateral contraction, it would tilt your head. If it's bilateral contraction, it would flex your neck, bend your neck, right? And then the other neck muscle would be your trapezius. Your trapezius would be, origin would be occipital bone, so somewhere right here. Insertion would be clavicle spine of the scapula, right there. That's your trapezius. Again, towards the point of origin. Okay? So, kung ito naka-attach dito sa may ulo, and then ito naman sa may bandang clavicle, what do you expect when the muscle would contract? You expect this to lift. Aangat siya, di ba? So, what does your trapezius do? It elevates your clavicle and your scapula when you're shrugging. Alam niyo, di ba? When you're shrugging, yun yung itsura ng taong gumibap na. Wala nang pag-asa, nag-shrug na lang ng balikat. Okay? So, that is your neck muscles. Fairly easy, di ba? So, we discussed 3 neck muscles. We discussed muscles of the tongue already. We have discussed muscles in the forehead, eyes, nose area, and even muscles, perioral muscles. Okay, so yes, yeah, failure to fuse, yeah, tuberculum impar. Ano yan, nag-pause ka at hinanap mo? Yeah, it's tuberculum impar. Usually it's like a bright red tissue that's found on the junction of your anterior two-thirds and posterior one-third portion of the tongue. Yep, tuberculum impar. That's what I was trying to say. There's a related pathology to it, right? Top of mind, a related pathology to your tuberculum impar would be median rhomboid glossitis. Don't quote me on that. I mean, top of mind, meaning yun yung naalala ko ngayon nang hindi ako nag-flip ng kahit na ano. It's associated with it. It has something to do with the tongue. Median rhomboid glossitis. Okay? All right. So far, that's what we have discussed. And hopefully you guys are doing well, catching up, and understanding stuff. As I said, this is, so far, I did nothing but discuss anatomy and just keep on, kung napapansin nyo, style dito ay paulit-ulit. Hindi naman sa inuulit-ulit ko yung origin insertion, but I keep on stressing the fact that the action is always towards the origin. Okay? Para lang matandaan nyo siya, para lang hindi kayo masyadong mahirapan mag-memorize. Kasi sometimes, it's just common sense. Guys, okay, real talk. Sometimes memorizing anatomy is just common sense. So it's so common sense that you don't have to memorize it. You just have to know yung relative location niya. Diba? Like for example, sternocleidomastoid. Based on the name. Binigyan ko na kayo ng technique paano nyo based on the name itself, sternocleidomastoid. So, saan kaya ang point of origin nyo? Sternocleido. So, sternocleido, somewhere here on your clavicle. And then mastoid is somewhere here on the base of your skull. So, kung ang point of origin ay nandito, at yung insertion ay nandito, sabi natin, action is towards the point of origin. So, if this muscle, so ganito kayo mag-aral. So, if the muscle would contract, saan kaya siya pupunta? Nandito yung origin, nandito yung insertion. So, pag nag-contract siya, di pa ganun siya. Which is totoo. Di ba? It bends your neck on one side. It turns your head on the opposite side. So, my right sternocleidomastoid contracted. It turned my face towards the left. Okay? So, yun yung simple things na it has to be common sense. I told you about it, like how to study it, ano yung technique to study it. So, now that I have shown you ano yung technique on how to study it, then it should be like common sense now. Kasi sinabi ko na sa inyo, di ba? So now it's common. Okay? Just so you know ano yung pinanggagalingan ko regarding common sense. One thing that you have to realize in life is common sense is not common. And we should never expect that common sense is common to everyone. Kasi nga, kaya siya tinawag na common sense kasi common siya to a group of people. So kung yung group of people na yun yung practice nila, para sa kanila common sense yun. But if an outsider comes in, hindi niya alam yung ginagawa ng grupo, diba? So, hindi yun common para sa kanya. Kaya ngayon, sinasabi ko sa inyo na yun yung way. So, it's like common to all of us here. Okay? Technique on how to study anatomy. Okay. Let me disappear again. All right. Cool. Okay. Okay, so action in origin insertion. Excuse me. Now, with the innervation, like platysmal muscle, this is innervated by your 7. Diba? Ano nga yung 7? Sabi natin, facial. Letter F. 7, facial. That's innervated by your facial nerve. And then sternocleidomastoid is elevated by your 11. What's 11? That's your accessory nerve. Okay? Now, the trapezius muscles, it's like going down, like below. It's innervated by your CN11, which is your accessory nerve, but also C3 and C4. C3 and C4 would pertain to your cervical 3 and 4. Remember? Brain area, somewhere there. Spinal cord, right? You have your C1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, innervation for trapezius with along the C3, C4 area of your ansa cervicalis. That's your neck plexus of nerves. Okay? All right. Okay. Now, soft palate. Soft palate muscles. Okay. Soft palate muscles, you have your palatoglossus. You have your palatopharyngeus. You have your levator veli palatini, your tensor veli palatini, and your uvula. Those are your soft palate muscles. Now, the palatoglossus, where are you, palatoglossus? Your palatoglossus would form your anterior pillar of fauces. While your palatopharyngeus, nakap na pala siya. Your palatopharyngeus right here, this forms your posterior pillar of fauces. Okay? Anterior pillar of fauces formed by your palatoglossus muscles. Palatopharyngeus muscles form your posterior pillar of fauces. Okay, now palatoglossus. Palatoglossus point of origin would be the fascia of the soft palate. Insertion would be tongue. So, it raises the tongue, it depresses your soft palate. Palatopharyngeus, your posterior pillar fauces. Your origin is the soft palate. Insertion is pharynx. So, pharynx is like somewhere like here. But it goes back. Remember, the pharynx is a muscular tube. So soft palate to pharynx, again, cranial nerve 10, your vagus nerve. So it moves the palate back, down. It moves the pharynx up and forward. Down and back, up and forward. This is not really an ideal view on how you can see the action for this muscle. Okay? Now, levator veli palatini, based on the name itself, levator, so it raises, okay? So, petrous portion of your temporal bone and your palatine aponeurosis. Ito yung palatine aponeurosis. Oh. It's like a thin, thick, fibrous connective tissue. Okay? Levator, it raises. So, that's your levator, levator veli palatini right here. See, it's attached to your palatine aponeurosis. Levator veli palatini. And then you have your tensor veli palatini right here. Again, attached to your palatine aponeurosis. And then, of course, you have your muscular uvula right here. Which is innervated by your vagus nerve. Now, what can you notice regarding the muscles of the soft palate? For the soft palate, everything is innervated by your cranial nerve 10, except for one. And that's your tensor veli palatini. Okay? Tensor veli palatini is not innervated by your, it's not innervated by your vagus nerve. Okay? So, levator, levates, it raises. Tensor, it tenses. Nakikita niyo yung pattern? So, now there could be like common sense. Tensor, tenses, levator, raises. Okay? And then, of course, your uvula, mapapansin nyo, sa uvula, wala siyang point of insertion. Why? Because the uvula is like a hanging tissue right there. So uvula, on a better angle, not this angle, but on a side view, it's actually connected to the PNS of your palatine bone. What's PNS? PNS is your posterior nasal spine. Remember your Ceph tracings? You draw the posterior nasal spine. That's where the uvula is attached. The posterior nasal spine of the palatine bone. Okay, so what does it do? Well, it contracts the uvula. The uvula, the muscle, it's responsible for its own action. Okay, so those are the muscles of the soft palate. Yeah, that was quick. Yeah, soft palate. Okay, now we move on. So beyond the soft palate, so ito, side view muna. So this is your orbicularis oris, and then you have your buccinator muscle. And then, of course, on top, you have your hard palate. And then towards the back, you have your soft palate. And then we move to the muscles of the pharynx. Okay? So pharynx, that's the back part. Beyond the soft palate, yeah, you enter now a muscular tube, and that's your pharynx. Some details regarding the pharynx. It begins at the base of the skull, and it extends down to the inferior border of the cricoid cartilage, which is right here, at the C6 level. Okay? So, cricoid cartilage. Sorry, excuse me. So, from the base of the skull, right here, to the cricoid cartilage area. It's divided into three phases. You have your nasopharynx, your oropharynx, and your laryngopharynx. So, from the base of the skull to the soft palate, right here. Yeah, the end of the soft palate, right here. That's your nasopharynx. From the soft palate down to your epiglottis, that's your oropharynx. And then from the epiglottis to the cricoid cartilage, it's like C6 level. C6 level. That's your laryngopharynx. Okay? So nasopharynx, it's still part of the nasal cavity right here. Remember what we have discussed before regarding the sense of smell? So once there's an odor right here, diba? Ano mangyayari dun sa air, na inspired air? It would go through your cribriform plate of your ethmoid bone, and then it would be processed into your olfactory nerve. Okay? So continuation of this nose right here would be the backside. So air would flow in your nasal cavity, and then it would enter your nasopharynx. So the nasopharynx has a respiratory function since it's in continuation with your nose. So you would also expect that the cells, the epithelial lining, would also be related to that of the nose. Okay? So nasopharynx, it has a respiratory function. So the microanatomy of this part would be nasopharynx is lined by ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium with goblet cells. Ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium with goblet cells. Ciliated, that with finger-like projections. Pseudo-stratified, it's not really stratified, it's semi-stratified. Columnar epithelium. Bakit tinawag na pseudo-stratified? Remember, yung mga dinadrawing natin noon ng mga cells? Iba-ibang sizes yung pagka-columnar niya, di ba? So, hindi siya pantay-pantay na columnar. May iba na magkapatong, iba yung pagkakapatong niya. Kaya siya tinawag na pseudo-stratified. Okay? It looks stratified, but it's not really stratified. Like into several layers. Okay? So ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium with goblet cells. Same as the lining of the respiratory tract. Okay? And then on the posterior portion of your nasopharynx, you do have your you do have your adenoids, your tonsils, okay? And then the oropharynx right here, sabi natin at the end of the soft palate down to the top of the epiglottis. So the oropharynx, it's continuous with your oral cavity. It is lined by stratified squamous epithelium. Diba? This one, sila ang magkadugtong. So you have your ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium with goblet cells. While on the oropharynx side, it is just your stratified squamous epithelium. Okay? Now, on the oropharynx area, right here, you have your lingual tonsils and your palatine tonsils. Okay? That's why here on the notes, Waldeyer's ring. What's Waldeyer's ring? It's a Waldeyer's ring of lymphoid tissues that's actually protecting us, protecting our body against any form of virus or bacterial attack. Waldeyer's ring. So the Waldeyer's ring is composed of your adenoid tonsils, your lingual tonsils, and your palatine tonsils. That's your Waldeyer's ring. Okay, and then you have your laryngopharynx. Laryngopharynx. So it's from the epiglottis down to the base of your cricoid cartilage or your C6 area. So the laryngopharynx, the larynx part right here, this is continuous with your esophagus. Okay. So now, what else can you notice in this picture? In this lateral view, you'd see that there's an open communication between the nose and the oral cavity. That's why sometimes when we're sick, and you have postnasal drips. So what happens during postnasal drip? Post, meaning at the back, nasal, at the back of the nose, there's dripping. So it's right here. Kaya minsan, di ba, nalalasahan mo siya? Nalalasahan mo na parang may phlegm. So it's because of this you have your connection. So postnasal drip is very, very possible. Okay. All right. So that's your pharynx. Now we move to the muscles of the pharynx. Now the muscles of the pharynx is actually divided into two types. You have your longitudinal type, and you have your what do we call it? Your constrictor muscles. You have your constrictor muscles, you have your longitudinal muscles. So when it comes to constrictor, makikita nyo dyan sa diagram, the constrictors are actually, they tend to constrict. So pabilog siya. Okay? Kaya makikita nyo dun sa tube, nakakabit siya na parang siyang clamp. Okay? So pabilog siya. And pababa. So for it's like your circumferential, yun natin term muscles, your circular muscles. You have your superior constrictor, your middle constrictor, and your inferior constrictor muscles. Okay? So they're all circular. Okay? The origin would be the medial pterygoid plate, the pterygoid hamulus, right here for your superior constrictor. For your middle constrictor, it came from your hyoid bone, right here. And then all points of insertion would be on the median pharyngeal raphe. Okay? And then you have your inferior constrictor, which is the point of origin would be your thyroid and your cricoid cartilage. Okay? So what's the action basically of your pharynx? Pharynx, di ba? Kain ka, shoot dyan. So basically, these muscles help bring the food down to our stomach. They work to propel the food forward. Basic function is they constrict the larynx. Okay, kaya nga tinawag na superior constrictor because they constrict. Gets? Okay. Now, innervation, you have two types. For motor innervation, it's usually vagus nerve, CN10, for motor. Okay. For sensory, they say it's cranial nerve 9, your glossopharyngeal nerve. Again, with the muscles of the pharynx, there's one exemption to the rule, and that's stylopharyngeus muscle. It's like all of you are, if you would notice, all of these are innervated by sensory, innervated by 9, and then motor innervated by 10. So 9, 10, 9, 10, except for stylopharyngeus. It's innervated by your 11 by itself. Motor. We're talking about motor. Huh? It's motor function. Okay? So stylopharyngeus, based on the name, stylopharyngeus, styloid pharynx. And then salpingopharyngeus, eustachian tube, and your pharynx. So stylopharyngeus, it's right here. It's a longitudinal muscle. Right there. Okay, so that's your muscles of the pharynx. So they basically, the constrictors would propel the food downwards. Imagine yun, pag nag-contract-contract tong mga to, edi yung, kung ano yung kinain mo, ibababa niya, di ba? And then you have your stylopharyngeus. It's right here. It's attached to the styloid process. And then insertion would be pharynx. So action would be raise and dilate pharynx and the raise your larynx. And then you have your salpingopharyngeus. Point of origin would be the eustachian tube. And then it basically elevates your nasopharynx and it equalizes pressure between your auditory canals. Okay, that's your salpingopharyngeus. Okay, so the muscles of the pharynx. Okay, next up, beyond the pharynx, we see the larynx. So larynx, we all know, it's your voice box. Again, same as the tongue. You have extrinsic muscles and you have intrinsic muscles of your larynx. Extrinsic muscles are the ones that control your the movement of the muscles. While intrinsic muscles, they're mostly responsible for shape. Okay, so extrinsic muscles of your larynx, you have your suprahyoid muscles and you have your infrahyoid muscles. We'll talk more about the hyoid muscles later on. So suprahyoid elevate, infrahyoid depress. And then larynx, you do have intrinsic muscles of the larynx that's responsible to control the shape. And then lengthen and then the tension of your vocal cords. You'll find out when you see the origins and insertions. So you have your transverse arytenoid muscle right here. This is the posterior cricoarytenoid muscle. Lateral thyroarytenoid right here. And this is from top view. Okay. And then moving on to the muscles of the larynx. Sa larynx naman, ano bang magandang clue sa larynx? It's usually mga thyroid. Cricothyroid. Most of the time, it's one of them, muscles of the larynx. Kasi tingnan mo, pansinin niyo yung pangalan. Cricothyroid, arytenoid, thyroarytenoid, cricoarytenoid. So any time you see the word crico, it's most likely for cricoid. Okay, so you have your cricothyroid. You have your cricothyroid, your oblique arytenoids, transverse arytenoids. Nakita natin yan kanina dito. You have your transverse arytenoids, your posterior cricoarytenoid, you have your lateral cricoarytenoid muscle, your thyroarytenoid muscle. Okay? So larynx, again, your clues would just be this. Something to do with the cricoid, something to do with the thyroid and the arytenoid. Then you're most likely in the laryngeal area. Okay. What's different with the larynx na laging tinatanong? Cricothyroid. Bakit siya kakaiba? Because it's a muscle of the larynx that is innervated by a different nerve. All of the larynx is innervated by your cranial nerve 10, vagus nerve, particularly your inferior laryngeal nerve, which is a branch of the recurrent laryngeal nerve. While, on the other hand, your cricothyroid innervation would be coming from your external laryngeal nerve, which is a branch of your superior laryngeal nerve. So, siya yung naiiba. Kasi the arytenoids, they're all the same. Okay? Siya yung naiiba ng innervation. So, what is cricothyroid? Cricothyroid. So, it has something to do with bracing your cricoid cartilage and then tensing your vocal cords. And then, ano pang kailangan nyo maalala? Posterior cricoarytenoid. Why? Kasi lahat sila adak. Pero siya, it abducts. Takes it away. Abducts. Diba? Adduct, pinagsama nyo. I mean, like, you brought them together, closer. Abduct, pinaghihiwalay. Okay? So, if this is your vocal cords, represented by these lines right here, so dyan yung makikita yung muscular movement. Again, everything, almost all of them adducts, except for posterior cricoarytenoid, which abducts. Abducts. Ito, example ng abduction. Pinaglalayo. Right here. Okay. Alright. So far so good. So far so good. I actually have a hard stop. I cannot go beyond. I have to be in another call actually ngayon. So I do have a hard stop today. So I'll be stopping here and I'll be continuing again like the next day. Okay. All right. So, any questions? Just, alam niyo na, if you have questions, just post it in the group and take note of those helpful hints, in studying anatomy. So that way you can easily, quote unquote, memorize things. Kasi nga, diba, sabi ko sa inyo, you don't really have to memorize stuff. Well, you have to, but you don't have to do it in an agonizing way, no? Mag-memorize na lang kayo na hindi nyo gusto yung ginagawa nyo, pero, so you have to devise a way to do it quick and, easy. Quick and easy. Okay. All right. Okay. So again, if you have any questions, just type in the group. Next is, so I haven't discussed yet muscles of mastication. So that's your temporalis, your internal pterygoid, masseter, external pterygoid, and then I'll be discussing suprahyoid muscles, infrahyoid muscles, how they all work together to move the jaw, to depress the mandible, to elevate the mandible, and then connecting that to, um, I'll be connecting that to TMJ. Okay, so there's a bit of anatomy and physiology already para magkakasama na silang lahat. Okay? So you guys have a great day, and I'm praying for you guys and really, really rooting and cheering for each one of you. All right? Gotta run. Bye.